Well, this show certainly existed. I'm Joe Renton with the retro review of Mid-South Wrestlefest 1985. The title for this is in the Hidden Gems section of the WWE Network, at least for the next couple weeks till it goes to Peacock, and then who knows when all the territorial stuff will be added, because WWE has a vast tape library going back years and years and years and decades, and it's going to take quite a while. The title is Fabled Bouts featuring Flair, Rhodes, and DiBiase. Now, I gotta be honest, I don't mind some Mid-South wrestling. It's cool to see where people got their start and how some people, did before they got to WWE or in between trips there and in Jim Crockett Promotions. So it's kind of cool to see what the roster was. And half this show really was kind of shit. Like, the crowd was pretty damn alive. I mean, they were banging their cowbells a whole lot. They had a fever, and the only prescription was literally more cowbell. So much cowbell on this goddamn show. It was in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the local fairgrounds, and it wasn't all that bad. It is under 2 hours, so at least it's short. It's not like the Crockett Cup 1986, which, while a pretty good event overall, went 4 fucking hours and really dragged a lot. But anyway, no commentary. It was kind of cool to see JR as the ring announcer, and we have Perez versus Mark Ragan, I hope I pronounced that right. And the camera work brings you right into the ring and also literally into the wrestler's tights. Seriously, there were so many times where the camera shots were so up close, it's like you were just right in their bulges. It was kind of silly. This wasn't that great. German suplex, 1, 2, 3. Perez gets the victory. And the show of respect afterwards. Cool. Wendell Cooley versus One Man Gang. Pretty much a showcase for One Man Gang to get over. And he bounces Wendell Cooley around and hits the splash, 1, 2, 3. The first 3 matches were done within the first 20 minutes, so at least they were expedient, getting the, the undercard stuff out of the way. Like Brickhouse Brown versus John Nord, who was a future berserker, but without his sword, so he did not have the source of his power. The swords of his power. That joke was lame. The crowd boos Brickhouse, because of course there were some people that had questionable views there, and so he gets full Nelson for the win. It wasn't bad, it wasn't great. Brickhouse Brown was in pretty damn good shape at this point, though. Eddie Gilbert and Jerry Gray versus the Fantasticks. At least things picked up with the Fantasticks getting really good reactions. Rogers and Fulton, doing some really good work. One very underappreciated tag team. They did great in Japan. They did great in, in the territories, world class, Jim Crockett, and in Mid-South as well. They did some really, really good stuff. I've grown to appreciate their stuff more, especially their work with the Midnight Express and Jim Crockett Promotions. And also in world class, because they worked together for about 18 months of the 6-month run. No, I don't know how that works. At least, after Fulton got beat up for a while, Rogers got pissed and chased Gilbert around, and then he gets a hot tag. We get a sunset flip on Jerry, 1, 2, 3. This was actually not that bad of a match. At least this one was given a good amount of time, and it worked in bringing the crowd up. And then we get Jake Roberts in, literally warm-up pants. It's always weird to see Jake Roberts in warm-up pants and not in wrestling tights, wrestling pants, versus Ted DiBiase, who had the loaded leather glove that you put the little metal piece in to do the loaded punch. It's like what they were doing with Shawn Spears in AEW. And it went absolutely nowhere because nobody really cared about that. The crowd chanted DDT, but can they spell it? That's really mean, but seriously, this crowd kind of pissed me off sometimes because they were passionate, but also they were kind of stupid with how they, cheered some people. But anyway, go Jake, go! Go Jake, go! Wow, they must have needed help, doing that chant. Ted was clearly the heel, and we get a ref bump because Jake accidentally clotheslined the ref when DiBiase ducked. He hits the DDT when Ted tried to do the loaded glove thing, but the metal piece fell down, and Jake got the cover, 1, 2, 3. The referee thought, wait a second, did you use the loaded glove? No, I didn't. Jake's declared the winner anyway, but it's a nice little tease. Oh no, what's going to happen? Also cool to see Ted DiBiase just a couple of years before he would become the $1 Million Man. And really, really, cool to see how Ted worked for years and years in various territories and in Japan as well, just doing some great stuff before getting the chance to be the gimmick that most people remember him for. But he had a hell of a body of work before that. We then get Dutch Mantel versus Butch Reed. Dutch had a whip and Butch had a chair. Oh boy, a hairy white guy is going to whip a black man. Oklahoma, news at 11. Weird to see Butch as a face. Not that he couldn't work as a kick-ass baby face, but he was always very heel to me. And Dutch was hairier than a goddamn lowland gorilla. Seriously, he was. You could get a pack of gorillas or just a pack. Hell, you could get elephants that, have a whole bunch of hair. And they still aren't going to be as hairy as Dutch Mantel. It was actually a bit frightening. But anyway, Dutch wasn't exactly great in the ring, but he was a good brawler. And later we get a ref bump, whip to the head, because that's timely. And then we get a press slam, 1, 2, 3. So at least Butch got the victory, because he should have, because Dutch Mantel shouldn't have been getting victories at that point. And I got nothing against Dutch Mantel as far as a worker, but he's going to be remembered more as a manager, I think, than he would be a worker, because by the time there was a lot of tape of him in, the territories, he was never really a technician, is my point. Anyway, Jim Duggan and Dick Murdoch arrive in a black, monster truck named Black Knight. Dick Murdoch riding something black. Gee, he must have really hated that. Dick Murdoch, by the way, look it up, you'll know what I mean. Dick Murdoch. So, Jim Duggan, Dick Murdoch, and Bill Watts, who had come out of retirement again. And people were starting to say, well, why don't you just keep wrestling? We know you own the company. What the hell? They took on Kamala, Kareem Muhammad, and Skandar Akbar. But Skandar Akbar said, no, let's have this masked guy. I believe he's one of the Super Destroyers wrestle. I think he was. I didn't quite hear some of the audio, so it was a little bit weird. And the crowd's chanting bullshit. Grizzly Smith says, hey, the match has just started. There's instant chaos, but Skandar Akbar, you said you would wrestle. You signed a contract. You will get in this ring. And I'm sure Dick loved to beat up the black guys and probably hated when he had to sell for them. And then Watts slams Kamal and pins him 1, 2, 3. Why didn't Akbar take the pin? That's a genuine question. Why did Akbar not take the pin? So we get Dusty Rhodes versus Ric Flair. NWA title match. It wasn't their finest hour, but it was what it was. It was like a condensed version with some good spots from their classics. And we get a ref bump. The ref's outside. We get an over-the-top rope move. So Flair sent over the top accidentally, but, inadvertently. But because of that, in the NWA title rule, Dusty almost gets the victory, but now the ref calls it off. And Dusty's like, I won. No, you didn't. You threw him over the top. And I don't care if we've done this finish so many times. Flair's keeping the championship. This always worked. People didn't get tired of it. Wait, people did. That's why people started to sour on all this shit. But anyway, Flair keeps the championship and Dusty gets Dusty gets DQ'd. So it's like all this, they can continue their feud. We then get a bonus match, which I assume opened the show. Like, it was like the dark match. They'll hype everybody up. The Nightmare, who was Moondog Rex, I believe, versus Wahoo McDaniel. Good Lord, the North American Heavyweight Championship was the size of Pluto. It was insane. I know Pluto's the smallest planet, but seriously, a championship should not be able to be seen from space. This is not good. Wahoo hit a low blow. The ref questioned it, and Eddie ran in and caused a DQ. I guarantee you that I will not watch this event again. It isn't as bad. The tag match with the Fantasticks is pretty good. It was cool to see Jim Duggan before he had the 2x4 and all that. And doing the whole thing, even though he's kind of doing that goofy stuff anyway. But he was more kick-ass here. There was some good stuff, but it's also not an event you need to watch more than once. Anyway, agree, disagree, what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.